Hello Symphonic Band, and welcome to week 5 of doing band from home. Hopefully some of you will be watching these videos closely all the way through and practicing with them, because I've noticed grades aren't as good as they need to be. And some of the reason is that you're not practicing with the videos that I'm providing, and you're missing out on some of the instruction that you need to play the exercises correctly. Also, I've been giving away a little extra credit every week somewhere in the video, and if you watch these all the way through and practice with them, you'll know the extra credit and you can get 5 points added to your test grades on Friday. Now, while you're doing that, when you're playing, I must see your face and your hands and fingers while you're making your recording, just like you're seeing mine when I'm playing these exercises, for me to be able to give you a grade. So, after you've done your warm-up section, we'll come back to page 27 in your traditions book. It said, stuck at home, let's practice. Let's look at that. Go ahead and get that out and find the page for your instrument. And you can pause the video while you find it and then come back and then we'll do this together. Okay. Now, I'm looking at number 1, long tone exercise. It says repeat all notes, 4 beats, 8 beats, and then 12 beats. So we will do that with a metronome, and we're going to repeat each note. We'll go through it the first time playing each note 4 beats. We'll go through it the second time playing each note 8 beats. And we'll go through the third time playing each note 12 beats. So go ahead and get your instruments out, and we'll be back in just a moment to get started. Now we're ready to begin with line 1, long tone exercise. I've set the metronome at 80 beats a minute. We're going to go through this first line and hold each note for 4 counts. Here we go. Play with me. 1, 2, ready. Okay, now we're going to try that again, and we're going to hold each note for 8 counts. Here we go. 1, 2, 8 counts. Okay, then rest your lips for just a few minutes, and then you can go back and set your metronome at 80 and play that for 12 beats. I won't do that on the video right now just for the sake of time. The next line, the arpeggio, we'll do that the same way. So I'll play it one time through, 4 beats per note. You play with me, and then you can do 8 and 12 on your own. Here we go, 4 beats on each note for the arpeggio. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you can go back through that again and do that for 8 beats and then 12 beats. You can pause the video, and once you've done that, then you can restart, and we'll look at number 2. Okay, this is number 2, dot Rona. Again, we're just going down in half steps. This is still a warm-up exercise. We want to keep this moving slow. So keep our metronome at 80 and play with me. Here we go, number 2. 1, 2, ready? Okay, you can go through that a few times before we move on. So you can pause the video and play that a couple of times until you've got it clean and smooth. And then we'll look at number 3, the thirds exercise. We're going to keep this tempo the same, so still at 80 beats a minute. Here's number 3, thirds. You can play with me. 1, 2, 3. And for now, that's all that we're going to do with that last practice sheet. So from here, we will move on to other stuff. Okay, now that you've done your warm-up, we're looking on page 27. We did number 108, 109, and 110 last week. So this week, we're going to be concentrating on 111 and 112. 111 and 112 has a different time signature than we have been using. It has a time signature of 3-2 time. 3-2 time tells us that there's 3 beats in every measure and that a half note receives 1 beat. So if you look in the blue box at the top of the page, it shows you how this works. So a half note gets 1 count, a quarter note gets a half of a count, and eighth notes get a quarter of a count. So if we have 3 half notes in a measure, we would count them 1, 2, 3. If we have 6 quarter notes in a measure, we would count those 1 and 2 and 3 and. And if we had 3 sets of 4/8 notes, we would count those 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a. So we want to look at number 111, and we're going to do the counting. So I'm going to go over the counting one measure at a time. I want you to write the counting in your book underneath the notes. So let's look at the first measure. The first measure, we have a half note on 1, a half note on 2, a quarter note on 3, eighth note on and, eighth note on a. So 1, 2, 3, and a for the first measure. Now the second measure, we have a quarter note on 1, eighth note on and, eighth note on a, then eighth notes on 2E and a half note on 3. So the second measure, 1, and a 2E and a 3. The third measure, we have a quarter note on 1, a half note on and dash 2, a quarter note on and, a quarter note on 3, and a quarter note on and. So we would count that third measure 1 and whole 2 and 3 and. Then the last measure, we have a rest on 1, a quarter note on and, an eighth note on 2, an eighth note on E, a quarter note on and, a quarter note on 3, and a rest on and. So that measure will be counted rest and 2E and 3. So let's clap and count number 111 together. Ready? Clapping and counting what we just went over. 1, ready, now. 1, 2, 3, and a 1, and a 2E and a 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2E and 3 and. Okay, so we can go back and do that several times. Now I'm going to play it on the note that's given. It tells us for C instruments to play E flat, and saxes you would play C, horns B flat, and trumpets, clarinets you would play F for this. So I'm going to play it. I want you to count while I play using the counting that you wrote in underneath the notes. Here we go. I'll play, you count. 1, ready, now. Okay, I'll do that one more time for you. Count and finger with me. Count along. Ready? Now. Now this time you play with me. Use the note that it gives you. 1, ready, begin. Alright, now you can go over that many times as you need. Now let's look at number 112, Skill Builder, Rondo from Abdelazer. This is your test for Friday. This has to be performed on Flipgrid. It needs to be completed by 3:30 on Friday. The test will become active on Thursday around 10 a.m. And when you play your test, you will need to tell me that Friday is May Day, and that will give you your extra 5 points of credit, of extra credit. So let's look at 112. First thing we're going to do is look at the key signature. So in the key signature, for C instruments, you have B flat and E flat. For B flat instruments, everything is natural. E flat instruments, you have an F sharp, and French horn, you have a B flat. So we're going to take this 2 measures at a time and work out the notes and the fingerings. So let's look in the second measure. That first note in the second measure has a staccato and a legato mark on the same note. That does not mean to separate and play the note short. It almost means the opposite. It means to play it smooth and connected, gently articulated, and released with a gentle lift. So we're not going to put a gap between those. Some people didn't watch the video last week and 2 weeks ago and had points taken off for playing that marking incorrectly. So you want to play that where it's almost slurred, but with just a slight little break between the notes. So let's look at the first 2 measures of 112. Let's finger and count that. Ready? Finger and counting together. Ready? Now. 1, 2, 3, 1, and a 2E and a 3. That's the first 2. So this time I'll play it, you finger and count. Ready? 1, ready, now. Notice I put very little space after that tenuto staccato note. One more time, finger and count with me. Ready? 2 measures. play the first two with me. Ready? One. Here we go. Now. Now, you can repeat that until you have the fingers worked out. Now let's look at the next two measures, measures 3 and 4. Let's finger and count together. Ready? Here we go. Now, 1 and a 2 E and 3. 1 and a 2 E and 3. So this time I'll play, you finger and count. 1, ready, now. One more time, finger and count with me. Third and fourth measure. 1 and a, ready, now. Okay, this time, play those two measures, measure 3 and 4. Play those with me. 1, ready, now. Now let's look at the second line. The first two measures of the second line are counted exactly like the third and fourth measures on the first line. So let's finger and count that together while I play. I'll play, you finger and count the first and second measures of the second line. Ready? And now. We're going to watch that accidental in the second measure of the second line. The accidental on the third note carries across to the fifth note. So make sure we carry that accidental over. So let's play those two measures together now. Ready? Playing those two, the first and second measure of the second line together. 1 and a 2 E and, ready, now. Alright, now let's look at the last two measures. You notice the first four notes of that measure and the last four notes of the next to last measure are the same. So once we work that out, 1 and 2 and, or 1 E and then we have 3 E and it's the same notes. So let's finger and count the next to last measure. Ready? Finger count. Now, 1 E and 2 and 3 E and Alright? Now let's look at the last measure. We have 1 and 2 E and 3 off. So let's finger and count the last two measures together. Here we go. Ready? Now, 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 off. Now I'm going to play the last two measures and I want you to finger and count with me. Here we go. Ready and now. Alright, your turn. Play that with me. Last two measures. Ready now. Alright, now we've done this in two measure sections all the way through. So now we can go back through and do it as one piece. So I'm going to play through it. I want you to finger and count the first time and then we'll do it together. Here we go. Finger and count with me. Ready? 112. Ready? Begin. Alright, now let's play it together. Remember, this is your test, so you want to spend some extra time on this and get all the positions and fingers worked out before you record your test. Here we go together. 1, ready, play. many times as you need, and keep going over that until you have all the positions and all the fingerings worked out. So this is your test. Make sure you record it by 3:30 on Friday, and I hope you have a great week and keep practicing. Now that we're done with the method book work, this would be a good time to get out your concert music and work on some of the parts that you need to practice, so that when we do get back together as a group, that we'll be able to still prepare for our spring concert. The recordings for all of that music is on our band webpage. All you have to do is click on the link. Some of them even have the music on the screen, so you can read it off the screen from Pepper as you go along. Once we've done that, then we're going to go back and look at the Let's Practice sheet and do the last line, number 5, as a warm down. Okay, here we go. We're going to set the metronome at 80. Again, so we don't want this to go very fast. We're going to gently play through this number 5, this warm down. 1, 2, 3. Let your lips rest for just a second. And we'll go back and do it again. 2, 3, 4. Alright, we want to slur through that for all instruments except trombones. Trombones just legato and as smooth as you can. And then after the workout that we just had with our technique and our concert music, this just helps relax the muscles, and so that things are loose and relaxed. So when you come back and practice again tomorrow, you won't have problems. So hopefully we'll be back together before very long. I'll keep putting these videos out about once a week. So use what you see here and the music that you have and practice. Be safe.